The end is near. The end is near for Bitcoin. Oh no, we're down to $53,000 yet again, ladies and gentlemen. And look, it's concerning. That's completely true that it is concerning because 53 is a low number, given the fact of what the price of Bitcoin has been doing for the past 6 months. You can argue that this is building a triple top at this current moment in time. But I have to tell you that the current crash has nothing to do with Bitcoin itself. Now, there is a cool opportunity on Ethereum, which I am taking today. So I didn't open the 2.3K order. In fact, I think I will open it now at 2.1 and put a tight stop loss in Ethereum, but that is for the end of the video, so stick around until the end. The crash is happening due to the fall, the collapse of the stock market, which we discussed on the last video, actually. So we said that the S&P is forming a double top and leading into the FOMC event, which is taking place in 11 days and 21 hours. Bitcoin is most likely going to have a very volatile reaction. Now, today was important. Why? Because we got the jobs data and we got Fed's Williams speaking. And I don't know who that is, but I guess he is very important. We got the jobs data. And it was absolutely terrible. It was the weakest report since the pandemic in 2020. They only added, if I'm not wrong, I think it was like 22,000 or 25,000. So it was revised lower by 25,000 jobs from 114,000 to 89,000. That is really, really not good, ladies and gentlemen. And if you look at those jobs itself, if you dive deeper into the jobs themselves, they're mostly all part-time anyways, right? So you see a huge decrease in full-time jobs, which is what matters. But most of the increase of jobs that we've seen in the past few months have been all part-time anyway. So it doesn't really matter whatsoever. And this is the full graphic of how the labor market is driven. You can see most of it is part-time employment, and overall employment seems positive because, well, the full-time and part-time kind of balance each other out. And the funny thing is, part-time and full-time include people that have more than one job at the same time, but that's something we've been talking about for so long on the channel. And honestly, we've expected the eventual demise of the stock market because of the weakening of economic conditions, the rising of global, not just global debt, but US national debt. So this was something that's expected. When it would take place was the question mark, but I guess the double top did kind of fulfill that. And because the S&P is crashing, then of course Bitcoin is following, because Bitcoin is trading like, unfortunately, it is trading like a tech stock, and it's following the stock market in a very correlated manner. So the question that everybody has on their minds, is Bitcoin going to dump lower? Is it the end? Is it over? Is it time to sell? Is it time to buy? What the hell should we be doing right now? And it's a great question, right? We've talked about the importance of the federal funds rate, which is what is actually demonstrated in the FOMC event. If you don't know what FOMC stands for, it's the Federal Open Market Committee. And this takes place every few months, depending on the time of the month. You can have it every month. You can have it once every 2-3 months. It depends. And they announce the interest rate of the United States, right? So currently it's 5.25%. And because you have a high interest rate, you're incentivizing people to put their money in the bank account. If they put their money in the bank account to collect a high interest, then they're not going to be incentivized to go ahead and spend their money and therefore make the economy thrive. That puts, if you have it for too long, which is the case currently, that could lead into a massive recession. And in fact, every single time that we have had high interest rates go into a point of low interest rates, you can go back and zoom out, and that should be helpful to visualize that every single time the Fed does cut rates from a point of high interest rates to low interest rates, the market crashes no matter what, right? You can go back to the 2000s in the dot-com bubble, high interest rate, you bring it down, boom, hard landing, you go completely I mean, let's just check to be sure how much the stock market crashed by. 48%. 48%. This is not a crypto project. This is the S&P 500. In 2007 financial crisis, you have a crash of 56%. Then you have COVID, right? And during COVID, you do have a crash from here, right? You don't have it from this point necessarily, but you do have the COVID crash, which is a drop of about 30-ish%. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have this situation where the interest rate is going to be cut in September. They do have 41% say it's going to be cut by 25 basis points, and 59% say it's going to be cut by 50 basis points. And this could cause a hard landing in the economy, which would absolutely be terrible for Bitcoin. But I don't want to get into the technicalities. If you want to listen to the technicalities, the Benjamin Cohen video posted yesterday, Bitcoin hard landing versus soft landing, is probably the best you can watch. I watched it, and it's a great video. But unfortunately, after I did watch the video, I was dying inside because Benjamin Cohen said the most likely scenario is that Bitcoin crashes to 42K. And he even highlighted a bear case scenario of Bitcoin dumping to 20K. And honestly, it was very, 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 very painful to watch. So, yeah. I don't want to say that because I know a lot of people love Bitcoin so much in this community, but I have to state what is the likelihood scenario for Bitcoin to do. Now, there is still a chance, right? There is still a chance for Bitcoin to recover. I think it was 2 weeks ago that I talked about Bitcoin coming back down to the support of the bull flag to create a potential double bottom, and then we rally back to the prior resistance. So this is the ideal scenario, where if we go to the 1 hourly or the 4 hourly time frame, there's still a chance that Bitcoin right here is creating a double bottom, and then Bitcoin decides to go back and reverse to the upper trend line of this bull flag. That is the bull case scenario. However, if Bitcoin is now breaking the 52.4K level, the support line, with a confirmation on the weekly time frame, thank God we're going into the weekend, by the way, because there'll be a huge CME gap, most likely towards the upside. So this crash will not continue its sustained trajectory. That is my prediction. I don't think that, I mean, there's always the chance, but I think at least tomorrow we will have some sort of a calming down in the market. But if Bitcoin does end up breaking with volume from 52.4, then we can expect a 50.4 Bitcoin. If that fails, 46.9 Bitcoin. If that fails, 44.1 Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin will drop below 40K. I think it is a very, very unlikely possibility. However, if the S&P continues to crash, then things will get interesting, right? Things will get interesting, and Bitcoin will likely fall to 44.1K. I know I said that Bitcoin is going bullish. I know I said that this bull flag is incredibly bullish. I know, okay? I know I said that. And the fact of the matter is, even if Bitcoin does break below this bull flag or the descending broadening wedge, even if we do so, remember there is the chance that we don't and we have the double bottom and we go above, right? And that's why I want to take the Ethereum trade just in case. If we break below, it is not the end of the world. It is not the end of the world. This bull market will carry on. September is going to be rough. I said in the last video, I do expect a Bitcoin drop between 52 and 56K or 55K. It happened a lot earlier than I thought it would, but it did happen, right? So if you go back to the previous bull market in 2021, you can see from the all-time high at that point at 65.1, the first half of 2021, you saw a crash to the bottom, the local bottom, by 55.37%, right? So that's a $35,887 drop, but Bitcoin remained its bull market a few weeks after, and we went back to 69K. So if Bitcoin were to have dropped from the all-time high we created by 30 or let's say 50%ish, because this was a 50% drop. I'm getting old, guys. I'm 17 and I can't remember stuff. 55%. A 55% drop for Bitcoin at this stage would take us to 32K, right? $32,000. And believe me, even if Bitcoin did go down to 32, which is very likely that it's not going to happen, the bull market would still continue because technically you're creating a higher low if you measure this as your point of perspective. But the thing is, if Bitcoin does end up crashing here, just like the market right now, everyone's going to flee crypto. Everyone's going to be like, I'm done with this, whatever, yada, yada, yada. The people that make generational wealth are the people that will survive, have conviction, and just follow through, because these things happen in every single bull market. Like, honestly, every single bull market cycle, you do have these sort of corrections. If you go back to 2019 to 2020, Bitcoin consolidated for 450 days. 450 days before breaking out. And in between, we saw the COVID crash, and everybody thought it was over then. But the reality of all of these situations are, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin in bull markets can correct by 45%, 50%. If you go below, I would say if you go to 31, that's bad, right? But I that's just not on the table. I don't want to be bearish. I think the 100 moving average is probably a very good point for Bitcoin to come down to, as Benjamin Cohen highlights in his video. Let's get the MA forecast, and let's put the 100 moving average right over here. The rest we don't really necessarily need. I mean, we could put the 200 just to see the crossover that took place very recently on there we go, on the weekly time frame. There's a bullish crossover for the first time. We're seeing the 100 and 200 crossing over. So in the macro, this thing is very bullish, but in the short term, it is acceptable that Bitcoin comes down to 41, 42. You can see phenomenal support there as well. But before that line is hit, then you have multiple other places to potentially DCA into Bitcoin if you want to. I think right now is a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin. I'm unfortunately already all in into Bitcoin, so I have no fiat left. But if you're looking to buy Bitcoin, now is a great opportunity, just in case we see a double bottom and Bitcoin goes back to the all-time highs. If not, you can set a limit order on Bitflex by doing the following. You go to trade, spot, right? It takes 20 seconds to make your account, by the way. If you want to sign up, you can use the link down below in the description to get up to $68,000 in rewards and watch this video if you want to learn exactly how you can use a cryptocurrency exchange. Super simple to use. You go to trade, spot. It's already set on Bitcoin default. By default, you go to the limit, and then you set the buy order you want to buy Bitcoin at. So we said, let's go back to the price of Bitcoin. 50.460. You would go to Bitflex and type in the limit order 50.460, and then you would put the amount of quantity in USDT or Bitcoin you would like to purchase, press buy Bitcoin, and boom. That is it. It's that simple. And you could do the same for all the other levels that I mentioned. Of course, always do your own due diligence and research before trading or investing. Super, super important. But these are the levels that I would consider dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin if, and I say if, we fall, because as I said, Bitcoin could reverse from here. It could reverse from here, and there is a likelihood that we do reverse from here and go back to all-time highs, right? So there's no need to panic. It's just important to be prepared. That's what's important. Ethereum is looking like a fantastic zone to buy. Honestly, 2.1 for Ethereum, incredibly cheap. Now that we have the ETFs, eventually that's going to give you very good inflows. And I think Ethereum will probably go to 8,000 in the cycle. Call me crazy now, but I do think that Ethereum has the opportunity to go to 8,000 in the cycle. Remember, Ethereum hasn't even made a new all-time high yet, whereas Bitcoin has. So there's so much opportunity, and I want to open a trade on Ethereum right now. So derivatives, let's go to long, and this is going to be very risky. Okay, I want to just take the risk with this long, because if this is the bottom for Ethereum, then it will probably be a very, very, very good opportunity. I'm going to do market price, right? Let's stick with 10x leverage, 0.5 Ethereum, open long. And I just want to see what happens, okay? So I could completely get wrecked, right? I could completely get wrecked, but let's just see what happens. Active order. I'm going to put my stop loss to, let's do 2,000. I don't want to go below 2,000, and I will lose only like 86 USDT. This is on the $10,000 trading challenge, by the way. Click confirm, and we'll see what happens. If we can see a reversal and a confirmation, I will add much more margin to this fun Ethereum trade we have going on. But guys and girls, that is it for today's video. Just the most key takeaway here is that the price of Bitcoin is crashing, crypto is crashing, but it's got nothing related to do with the actual cryptos themselves. There's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. There's nothing wrong with Ethereum. It's just the macro economy. Can cryptos go a lot lower? Yes, they can, but there is always a chance that now is the bottom. And if we evaluate the prices from just a holistic approach, we know that they're cheap, and therefore, if we believe in them in the long term, then why not accumulate if we do have money on the side? But guys and girls, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. No need to panic, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care, guys, and bye-bye.